So yesterday was an incredibly remarkable day. It is clear that Standing Rock has a victory on its hands at the moment. The pipeline has been denied, and this marks a very, very immense turning point, I feel, in the state of the world, not only the small microcosm world of Standing Rock, but the greater world at large. I think most people were quite surprised that this happened in this moment, given that the government of North Dakota was really upping their language, really upping their threats with regards to the protesters. It seemed to come out of nowhere. And that's usually how it works in life, and it's a great day, it's a great time to take a moment and to just celebrate this victory. There's a great video though that I posted online from the Young Turks, great alternative news source, by reporter Jordan Cheriton, who I really admire. And right after the victory was declared, he interviewed this amazing Native American man who really spoke sternly and truthfully about the fact that yes, we need to see this as a victory, but this is really the beginning. This is the beginning, and it's a great symbolic beginning because the people have really stood up and shown that they can push back against an incredibly powerful empire of corporatism and political collusion. And as this man spoke, he spoke very clearly about the injustices that happened. You know, the fact that the pipeline was originally supposed to go through the county of Bismarck, and the generally white population just pretty much said, no, we don't want this, and then they rerouted it to Standing Rock. And then Standing Rock, of course, said no, but of course they weren't listened to, and then they had to really go through this ginormous protest, having to absorb tantamount violence and brutality from militarized police forces to finally get their yes, to get affirmed in their own resistance to this pipeline. That is a really startling contrast, and that speaks to the problems of systemic racism, colonialism that still exist in our countries. And as this man spoke on those matters, and I really urge you to check it out. If you go to the Young Turks, hopefully they'll have it posted there, or it's on my Facebook profile page at the moment. When you hear this man speak, this Native American man, with such courage and boldness, you really get the sense that this is why the indigenous people have to be leaders right now. I think what is becoming very clear is that those of us who are severed from our indigenous roots, whether we're white, black, whatever nationality or race, we are victims of Western culture at this point. And Western culture has divorced itself from the earth, from the natural laws of the ecosystem, and lacks an eco-spiritual perspective to rouse itself into any kind of health on a civilized or cultural level. So when I hear this man speak, it comes to mind all the other times that I've heard Native Americans, Native elders, wisdom keepers speak, and how it just moves my soul. It speaks so deeply in my heart because they haven't lost what we've lost. Yes, there are still First Nations communities that have been so ravaged by colonialism that they have forgotten their roots. Some have even been Christianized. But there are those that have stuck true to their lineage. And that's an incredibly, it's one of the most courageous acts that I can even fathom. Knowing what kind of genocides they have been up against from my ancestors. And for the fact that they can still stand, they've kept that fire burning, is remarkable. And then even more so, not only have they kept that fire burning, but some of them, the real leaders in those communities, don't have any grudge towards colonial people. They just want to live on the earth peacefully. And they want to, as one native protester said, save the white man from himself again, because we clearly have a kind of psychosis in our mind. We do not understand how to live in peace with the earth, and we've created such a problem with climate change that we're now gasping awake and realizing, my gosh, we are not going to be able to survive on this planet because of the way largely that we've behaved as a civilization. So for me, it makes sense that those of you who are in powerful positions, politicians, CEOs, corporations, oil company tycoons, it's time to hand over the power and to humble ourselves and realize we don't know what the fuck we are doing with this planet. We don't know how to cooperate with the ecology of the planet, and we're creating a massive, massive mess. And how many interventions is it going to take until we wake up to this on a big enough collective level that we can let go of the racism, let go of the conditioning, generational conditioning that has made us to see things in such a with such bigotry? When are we going to wake up and get it that no matter what the opinions are, the earth is, the ecosystem is severely damaged, and that's because of the way we've been basically running our systems of civilization. So when are we going to wake up and just say, you know what, you guys, Native Americans, First Nations, indigenous peoples of all lands, you guys know what's up. We're going to allow you, and not even allow, that's a very arrogant thing to say. The time is just to let go of our control. Let go of our control and help to bring these people into positions of power and leadership, so that at least on the sheer level people can hear what they have to say, because they are speaking a truth that is so remarkably needed, so deeply needed, that I believe that if more people were to hear the voices of the indigenous, there'd be a much more en masse awakening. And I say that as well because a lot of indigenous leaders, if you've ever sat with a real wisdom keeper, a real Native American elder, you know they have incredible compassion. They're incredibly skillful, kind, spiritual people. They're not out here to revenge upon the colonists. They don't want to make a war. They are people who are, as all indigenous people are, they are people of the earth and for the earth, and they just love this planet so much. They love all the peoples of this planet. They just want to live and thrive, as we all could if we just give up the ghost of Western culture and, you know, have a really good look at ourselves and realize where are our shortcomings and such. So what's happening in Standing Rock is going to continue. There's lots of other pipelines, and Native communities are in such destitute positions and imposed poverty of not only their physical needs, but their spiritual needs as well. They are harassed by this system perpetually. And there needs to be an absolute 180, an absolute turning point. If the leaders of our country, which I don't think we can really rely on, so I speak to all of us because we're all leaders, if we would wake up to the fact that truly going to the indigenous peoples, listening to them, figuring out a spirit of co-creation with them, trying to vision together an actual shared community of ideas, love, resources, we could turn a lot of things around. And not only that, we could get a lot of monkeys off our back. Because I really feel those of us who are part of colonial heritage, we've got a lot of karma, we've got a lot of heaviness in our energetic field regarding how the indigenous of this land have been treated. In Canada, as a country, and that goes for any country that has colonized indigenous people and pushed them off the land so settler culture can exist there, in large part selfishly, not inclusive of the indigenous, we have an opportunity to set a new precedent, to set a new model. Imagine if we came to these lands, to Turtle Island, and instead of seeing these people as lesser, which is still endemic in our culture, we still see these people as primitive. And we've got to wake up and realize, actually, it's reversed. We're not as advanced as we thought. They have advancements in ways that aren't as quantifiable, more qualitative. I would say they're spiritually much more advanced than we are, and spirituality needs to be recognized as perhaps the most precious resource on our planet right now, because spirituality is about creating unity and togetherness, and that is the most important thing that has to happen right now on the planet. So we need to check ourselves and realize the fact that we have all this great shiny technology isn't that important. That doesn't mean we're necessarily advanced. Technology means, yes, we have a certain intellectual genius about us. We've created a lot of beautiful systems of urbanization, industrialization, but we've also destroyed the planet in the process. So really, we need to return to the medicine wheel. We need to return to the circle of life. We need all races on this planet to realize we're all part of the same human family. And wow, what if we worked together? What if we reset things and played it out again as if we were showing up at Turtle Island and meeting not some primitive race of savages, but what if we were meeting some incredibly beautiful spiritual culture that we recognized were more advanced than us in some capacities, and they recognized we were more advanced than them in some capacities, and thus by sharing we could make each other stronger. What if we could reset things for that to happen, that we showed up not with guns and any kind of rancor, but what if we showed up with offerings of goodwill and friendship? We can do that again. We can reset things, and we could actually be a nation that could set an example to every other nation on the planet. Every other nation that has colonized its indigenous peoples. We could be that nation that really shows itself to be an example of what could actually happen if there was harmony between colonists and the indigenous. And I'll leave you this with this. You know, I did a vision quest years ago with Dave Kershane Jr. of the Turtle Lodge, beautiful Anishinaabe elder. And at the end of our vision quest, his son was sitting across from me from this sacred fire. And he had a baseball cap on with a Canadian flag. And in that moment, it struck me all the teachings I've been receiving from the elders about how we came to Turtle Island, us colonists, not actually to colonize, but to relearn our indigenous roots from them, and that time of relearning was happening now. I realized that the symbol of the Canadian flag had a deeper meaning in that moment. I could see the two red rectangles on either side of the red people, the indigenous people, holding the white people in the center in council, and presenting them with a leaf, a red leaf, the red wisdom, the wisdom of the earth. This is what Canada could be, a place of reclamation, re-emboldening of indigenous identity for all, knowing that indigenous means just recognizing that you are from the earth, of the earth, and for the earth. So I'm really excited. I think this is the beginning, not the end. This is the beginning, but this is a huge, huge pivot point, a huge turning point. This will hopefully galvanize people to realize, just as Bernie Sanders was showing, that if you get enough people together, you can make some serious noise. The power of the people is awakening. And we also need to wake up and use our ferocious compassion to those that are still holding on to systems of power and abuse, that do not see justice for all human beings and all life forms for that matter. We have to figure out ways to bring them into the circle too, to captivate them, to stand strong and resist, but also bring them into this new earth paradigm that we're starting to write now very fervently. So I'm incredibly, incredibly excited, and yet I'm also really feeling fierce about wanting to not get too caught up in this. I'm a fan of sports, and right now in Toronto we've got a great basketball coach, Dwayne Casey, and he often says, you know, after a big victory, he's very good at humbling things and deflating it. And that's the way we've got to see it. We've got to see this as like one small victory, but the work never ends. It's a new day today. We've got a president coming in that has some ties to these oil companies. The fight will continue, but we can take a lot of heart knowing what we've done so far. And I just want to send a last thank you out to all the Standing Rock water protectors, all you people who have been there since day one for months and months and months. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You have done such a service for our humanity, for the world at large. And I just honor you. Thank you so much. Big love.